Okay, so I am Chris. I am from Columbus, Ohio. I teach high school math and computer science at a school called Columbus Academy. And I'm also part of the Columbus Math Teacher Circle, which has been around maybe, I don't know, 8 years, something like that. I've lost track. And it's great to see some names I'm familiar with in the participants list. So it's good to see you. So I put together some slides. You're welcome to copy that link down or go to that now if you want. There's no spoiler alert. So I'm curious. I think I'm going to ask this soon, but tell me 5 in the chat if you are like a Desmos expert. Desmos Ninja. Tell me a 1 in the chat if you have no idea what Desmos even is. And feel free to check a value somewhere in between. You can use decimals if you want. Okay, so I'm doing a mental average of all of these live. I didn't see any 5s. You're being too modest. I saw one person still with some tech issues. Okay, so we have some 1s. Someone using the computational layer, impressive. And I saw a 4 maybe. I would not put myself at a 5. I mean, maybe a 3.8 or something like that. So there's always more to learn. So let me find a better way to organize my screens. Here we go. Okay, so what do I think we could get out of this? It's an hour. We could spend weeks talking through Desmos and all of what it has to offer. I think that the first spot where all of us can learn something is the Desmos Calculator. I know this was more about the activity builder, which we'll definitely get into, but the calculator has lots of cool things that maybe some of you have not seen before. Then we're going to look at activities that are already made on a website called teacher.desmos.com. And they're continuing to add activities there. They're just absolutely fantastic. They get students really engaged. They're really rich mathematically, focused on communicating and critiquing reasoning. So we'll look at some activities and hopefully you can find one for the coming school year. And then this could itself be a whole nother session, but I just want to get you dangerous with making your own activity. So I'll show you if you want to make your own, how do you get started? How do you do something like that? A number of folks in the chat have been talking about the computational layer. That's sort of like an interface that allows you to make slides interact with one another and do some really cool stuff. I've tinkered with that a bit, but I think that would be like a power session. So I don't think we'll get to any of that. Okay, does that sound good? I will not send you the slide presentation, but you're welcome to copy down this link. tinyurl.com, MTC Desmos. I'll put this up at the end too. Oh, Anne, you're awesome. Thank you. Okay, so a quick story. The guy that's like 6'5" taking a selfie is Dan Meyer, and he's absolutely brilliant. And I had the privilege to go exactly 1 year ago, in fact, before things got really scary now, when one could travel. About 40 teachers went to San Francisco, and we went to the Desmos Fellows Weekend. So there we learned a lot about the Desmos mission. We learned about how, to make activities, and then we were supported by the pros to try to make an activity for our own classes. So we had to come with an idea. And like way back there, you can see me peeking over. But that was pretty cool that was like exactly a year ago to the day. So this is going to be really fast in the chat. Tell me something you want to learn about Desmos. You're here for a reason. I'll try to read them as fast as you type them. Everything, how to make activities. Whoa, cool things, rich tasks. Yeah, this is good stuff. So, starting around March or so when we came back from spring break, or I guess very early April, I was in the same place that all of you were. How do I teach online? And building my own Desmos activities, especially putting like a short video in there for them to watch. really made a difference. So I would encourage you, what you take out from this hour, try to customize those things for your online teaching. So I'm seeing how to use it, everything, how to build your own activity. That seems pretty common. 3D, unfortunately, takes a lot of clever work to make like a two-dimensional platform look 3D. So maybe GeoGebra would be your best bet there. How to make tasks. Yeah, so it's basically, how do I make an activity is what I'm seeing, right? Card sort correct. Maybe send me I'm on Twitter a lot, Euler's nephew. Send me, or I can share my email address at the end. If you want to get lost in the weeds with computational layer and things like that, I can help you with that. How to hold students accountable, that's an interesting question. Calc plot 3D. I'm not really Euler's nephew. I just love Leonhard Euler, so. Okay, so the web link one last time is tinyurl. There it is. And I'll put it at the end. Okay, so it looks like folks want to just dive into activity building, things like that. So how about before we do that, I just want to show you the power of the Desmos Calculator. I teach at a school where we don't have to give, like end of course state mandated tests. But I'm proud of our state for adopting the Desmos Calculator. So that's like an emulator that students can use on the test. And it's really powerful. And it's free. It's not a $140 handheld device. So if you want to just watch my screen, or it's going to be some careful organization on your part of screen management. But if you go to desmos.com/calculator, that will take you to a place like this. Well, Desmos.com will take you to here, and then by clicking calculator, that will take you to this. And it looks pretty blank, right? Like, where are all the buttons and things? This works on a tablet just as well. So let me just show you some stuff. Unfortunately, I can't see the chat. There is a testing mode. I've not messed around with that. So I don't know if I can speak to that. But if you search testing mode Desmos, you can find some literature about that. So, okay, what do? I can plot an ordered pair, 2, 3. Cool. Note there is a label. If I click that, it will label it 2, 3. Here's a pro tip. See the little wrench that has various like formatting options. I always like to do projector mode, especially teaching online. That's just makes things a bit more amplified and easier to see. Maybe I want to call it like home or something. You see how I can give it a name besides literally the ordered pair. If you want to be really fancy, you can use LaTeX, however you say it. It's like not apostrophes, but slanted. It's up by the escape button. And you can type something like, y equals mx plus b or whatever. And it looks like pretty math font, but it has to be within those apostrophes. Okay, so great. You can label a point. If you go to the wrench, you can play with clicking all these things. Reverse contrast, students really like. You can do polar mode. You can play with the axes, right? So you can change the window size. You can add a label. So maybe this is like time in minutes. If it had, a label that was purposeful. Here you can switch between radians and degrees. Step is like your increment, right? All those things are hopefully pretty straightforward. So that's where you go if you want to just change, formatting issues. What other things did I think were purposeful? Graphing functions. Okay, so one thing that I have a love-hate relationship with is if you type 2x plus 3, the expression is graphed as an equation, right? Technically, I would think y equals 2x plus 3 is what I should enter, but it accepts expressions, which I sort of like, but also I'm like, I don't know if I want students to graph expressions as much as equations. You can also use f of x, sort of functional notation. That works just as well. And what's nice is, yes, I'm projecting what I'm doing in Desmos. You're correct. What's nice is it knows the name f now. So if I say f of 3, it is literally substituting 3 for x in the f function. If I make another function x squared, I could also substitute 3 there. Oh, and now I've figured out one point of intersection, right? In fact, if I click where I think it is, it will locate that point for me. And in fact, already has the other point there ready for me to click. So I don't have to do menu, analyze graph, 3, 6, click, 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 like other devices. Okay, so yeah, then you can type whatever your favorite functions are, right? You could do sine of x or hyperbolic sine of x or whatever you want. Okay, cool. I use this all the time to make graphs for tests. So you could click the little share your graph and do like print or export. That's pretty nice. And I make these all the time. Like say I want to give students feedback and I make a little graph and I can share the link to this to them and email that personalized link to them. You can save what you make, right? See up here where it says untitled graph. I could call this really cool wave. And then if I click those 3 lines, I have an archive of all the things I've saved. Pro tip, if you make a change, I'm going to have to resave it. And every time I save it, it makes a different URL. So it's not like once someone has a link to your Google document, any changes made, the same link goes to. It's a different link with each change. So just be mindful of that. Let's get wild. How about x squared? But now I do a slider. So x squared plus k. See how it says add a slider? I'll say yes. Now immediately I have a little applet to help me make sense of like a vertical shift. Suppose I want to add x minus h squared plus k. Now I have a horizontal translation as well. Maybe I play both of those at the same time. Ooh, that's like a cool little screensaver. So how did I make a slider? I just typed a variable it doesn't know. Don't use x, don't use y, don't use t, and don't use r. It thinks r is polar form. Like if I type r equals 3, it'll graph a circle. But pretty much all of those other variables are free to use. And when it recognizes one it doesn't recognize, when it sees one it doesn't recognize, it makes it a slider. What other things did I think were important? Oh, check this out. Say I want to make a list. Say I say A equals, and then in brackets, with hard brackets, it recognizes that as a list. Say I type 1, -3, 8. Suppose I make another list, 2, -1, 4. Okay, so I made 2 lists. Great. We can do lots of cool things. I could do stats and then of A. Boom. 5-number summary. I can do box plot. Once it is non-italicized, it recognizes that as a function. Box plot of B. Boom, there's my box plot. So I found many teachers aren't familiar with the stats options. You can do a dot plot. That's not that interesting, right? Because they're all different values. And this is really cool. Check this out. I can do polygon. I want the x coordinates from A and the y coordinates from B. So I get a triangle, right? Another really cool thing, I'm just giving you things to think about. I can type A equals, and suppose I do, what could I do? How about 1, 1.1, comma, 10. You see how it iterates that and understands it goes 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, all the way up to 10. There's 91 values there. If then I graph x squared plus A, it's going to add 1, then 1.1, then 1.2. It'll take a moment, but there's my family of all those parabolas shifted. Isn't that pretty cool? Or maybe I graph r equals A. So graph all the circles of radius A. So I get this sort of thumbprint looking thing. Yeah, there are lots of stats features with different distributions and random. So I would just search Desmos stats and you can find those things. The commands, you have to have some inside knowledge to know all the things that are there. But if you click the little keypad, that'll give you some places to start. So functions, there's some stats stuff, various distributions. It does lots of different calculus ideas. Okay, so if you're totally stuck, what am I able to do? Start by clicking the keypad and then functions. And of course, you know, the web is a great thing. If you say Desmos commands or something, I'm sure you'll find something. So you look at that, someone already found stuff. Okay. Here's the link again. If you're looking for these presentation slides, maybe next time I'll put it on every slide. That would be helpful probably, right? And then, okay, there's Desmos Geometry too. Wait, what? If you go to desmos.com/geometry, you get what might remind you of maybe Sketchpad or something of that nature. And this itself is a whole nother session, but you can do great transformation. So if you teach geometry, you could make a polygon, and maybe you want to translate it by a vector or something. So I can draw a vector, and then I go to transform. I'm going to translate, and it coaches you. It says, where do you want to start? Where do you want to end? Select what you want to transform and do it. And now I have a nice little demonstration about what a translation by a vector is. And I can measure lengths and angles and those things. Okay. So of course you will leave this session with questions. That means you have some more stuff to discover, right? Anyone in the chat want to offer something I didn't show about the calculator? I'm giving you a chance to flex if you want to throw out an idea. Oh, nice, Karen, right? You can do photos. So see this little plus option? We've just been messing with expressions. A node is just like a little title, like here's a cool graph. And then I could type what that is. Folders are really nice. So you could say like, you know, translations. And then you could have y equals x plus 3, y equals x minus 1, y equals x plus 5, whatever. And then you can drag those into that common folder. And then they all collapse together, and you can hide show them together. So that's a folder. And then an image is nice. You could find an image. I don't know. Let's see. I'll find one of my face there. And you can do things with images. I've had students take a picture of something that involves math, like parallel lines or a conic section or something. And then they have to figure out the equations that make up that shape. And Desmos just had a little contest about who could make the coolest Desmos art. And it's just amazing. These are students K-12. And it's like, my mind is blown. Okay. So let's push forward then. There's a shout out to the calculator and lots of cool things. Check out desmos.com/geometry if you teach something involving transformations. And if you teach stats, definitely search for some stats features. So I want to transition to activities. Tracy has a question. Where do the files save? Well, it saves to the cloud. And to be able to save, you need to log in up here. And I just log in via Google. Is that okay? And you can save geometry just the same as calculator pages. Yeah, don't get me started, Regina. Thank you, Laura. There's lots of cool stats stuff there. I don't teach stats, so I haven't dug into that very much. Okay, let's move to Desmos Activities. Desmos is incredibly thoughtful about trying to make activities that aren't just glorified worksheets. They're really rich in terms of mathematics. Students have a lot of autonomy. While you can pace students, sometimes students, move at a different pace, right? So that's okay. You can have challenges, and maybe students get interested in that. It's really rich with collaboration. I have students, before they had to be 6 feet apart, I had students work together in tables of 2 or 3, and they would share one device. And that really encouraged them to talk before they entered an answer. I found that if everyone has their own device in an activity, it's almost like a study hall, right? It's very quiet, which is good sometimes, but I found with a shared device, they were more likely to collaborate. It's beautiful for assessment. I'm going to have you log into an activity, and I can see in real time what each of you is doing. I, in fact, was at a conference, and my subplan was give students this Desmos code. And I watched from afar while I was eating breakfast and even gave students feedback. And it was like I was still in the classroom. And it's 100% free. All you need to do is log in via your email address. Yes, students can be on separate devices. All they need is a Desmos code, which I'll show you how to make. But I encourage you, if they're together physically, now, of course, given the circumstances, right, they probably can't be close together working. But that aside, having them work on a common device was really helpful. I put a little link there that it's just a 1-minute video from Desmos where they talk about their methodology. So I want you to play a bit as a student. I will copy and paste this in the chat as well. Yeah, Polygraph is another great activity. It's like Guess Who, but with math. So you ask questions to figure out what the other person picked. So if you in the chat could click that link. And you can either do continue without signing in, or you could sign in via Google. It's up to you. This is called a marble slide. And I want you to first just get logged in. This is what a student would see as they log in. And play with the first few slides. And then maybe some questions like, what do you notice? What are some of the calculator things that we quickly talked about that you notice are at play here? What do you think your students would do? Okay, so see what you can do with marble slides. And I guess I'll leave this up. On a different browser or a different tab that you can't see, I am watching 67 of you right now, which is pretty awesome, right? I can see where every single one of you is. I can see that, who is this? Oh, I lost the person. Someone was already on slide 7. Okay, ready for this? Even though we're not in the same classroom, what does it say now on your screen? Activity paused, right? So if students are really engaged in this, there are groans you could hear like all the way down the hall because students are like, Mr. B, come on, we were, so into this or whatever. So there's a really nice way where I can bring everyone back together. I'm confused what link people are asking for. Is it this one? Yep, there we go. Thanks. Okay, I'll unpause you. Keep playing. Now, of course, this assumes maybe you teach Algebra 1, right? So if you're middle or elementary, I apologize. But I bet you'll figure it out. So on the teacher end, where I'm watching all of you, there's a pause button. You can't see that as a student. I saw that Lori asked a question about feedback. Desmos recently added that. Let me find Lori. Okay, Lori, I'm giving you feedback right now on fix it number 1. Okay, I just hit send. So Lori, see if on fix it number 1, you see my message. Liz asked a great question. You cannot pause one student. Lori, did you see my message of encouragement? Did you see, Lori, like a notification, or did you have to go back and just realize there was a message there for you? To be honest, I have not used the feedback that much because I didn't know if students would know something's there. Okay, wow. Looks like most of us are finding success. You're navigating through slides okay. Many of you have check marks, which tell me that you did it right, that you were successful. Not that the goal is answer getting, right? One other option I have is I can pace you. So maybe I just want you to work on the first 4 slides, and then you can't move on. That's nice, especially at the start of class. And another thing I can do is anonymize you. So if I wanted to pull up student work, I wouldn't be embarrassing anyone, right? Yeah, let me share the other screen that I'm looking at so you can see what it looks like from the teacher end. Okay, so it's like a class roster, and I can see check marks and things of that nature. Yeah, Sloan is right on. What I also love is all the anonymous names are actually mathematicians. Some very modern, some not so much. So after a while, students are like, I've never heard of Shebyshev. Who is that? Like John Urschel, as an example, is on here as an anonymized name. He's working on his PhD. Okay, to give feedback, this is pretty small, but what I did was click on so if I want to dig into one slide, I can click on like that at the top, the screen that shows the problem. And that shows all the different student solutions. Now, I doubt you have 70 something in a class, so this is a bit overwhelming. But then if I click on a particular individual, then I can click up here, this little like message icon, and I can say whatever I want. In fact, there's a little math type thing as well. So my equations or expressions or whatever look nice. So again, I went to a specific student on a specific page, and that lesson feedback icon was at the top. Let's see. Nanette, let me know if that didn't answer your question. Yeah, and you're right. This is sort of anachronistic where a modern mathematician is working with like Yang Lee or something. There is not a way to send a message to all students that I know of. I think it's on a student by problem basis. Okay, I want to show you one other thing that you can do as a teacher. I know you're playing as a student. Hopefully you're addicted. Check this out. If you want to look at my shared screen, I can, let me find one that has like some written answers. And maybe I really like John Wallace, who is really Gita. If I click the little camera icon, it saves that response. And maybe I want to contrast that with the other students. How do I get what I just took a picture of? If I go up to snapshots in the upper right corner, that allows me to have a repository of the work that I wanted to feature. And then I can pause all of you if I wanted to and say, hey, students, let's talk about this real fast. Here's two responses to whatever slide. Talk at your tables for a moment about how they're similar and how they're different, or which one's most like what you said, or whatever the prompt is, right? So that's a really nice feature where you can use student work to drive the lesson. I haven't done this much, but actually a Spanish teacher at our school, I was showing her how to do this because she wanted a way of getting student work really quickly. You can tie this to your phone, and as you walk around, you can take pictures of student work, and that puts it in the same archive, which is pretty rad. So it's not just Desmos screens you're capturing, but it's actual like work that you capture with your phone. Okay. We're about to move to, maybe this is too ambitious, I don't know. I wanted to give you maybe 5 minutes to find an activity that you might be able to use. And then to wrap up, I wanted to show you very quick and dirty, how can you make your own activity? When you pause an activity, does your screen broadcast to all students? No. So you would have to share your screen, assuming you're teaching virtually. Just pausing the screen, right? If I stop sharing, I can hit pause right now and you won't see anything. Now, of course, if I was in the classroom, I would have something projected, or you could share your screen if you're teaching virtually. But pausing just keeps students from moving forward. Do you have any other juicy questions while you're thinking about them? I mean, sure, we could go longer. I think the next thing's at 6:30. Well, at least my time. Sloan, do you want to remind them? Because it was your idea. I don't want to say something wrong. Plus, I don't know who it's open to, Sloan. Sloan asked me to do another Desmos workshop tomorrow, which is at some time. This week is crazy. 4:00 Eastern. So maybe Sloan can share those details at the end. Okay, so I know this is a lot of information, but you've seen the calculator a bit. You've seen Desmos Geometry. You've now played a bit as a student. What other activities are out there? Maybe I don't teach linear equations. So let me share this. Sorry, I have too many things open. You've been there, right? Trying to find, it's somewhere. There we go. So go to teacher.desmos.com. That's a link you can go to. I'll put it here as well if it's easier to click. Teacher.desmos.com is where you as the teacher, the facilitator, can either find stuff or make stuff. And the first thing I would do, if you've never used teacher.desmos.com, is in the upper right corner, be sure you sign in. Tomorrow's going to be totally different. And to be honest, I haven't figured out how it's going to be different yet. That's what tonight's for. But it'll definitely be more personalized, I think, and maybe more time to actually build something. Yeah, Kate, you raise a good point. Desmos what's on teacher.desmos.com is what Desmos is like officially either made or approved. I found that if I go to Google and search teacher Desmos matrices or teacher Desmos quadrilaterals or whatever, I can find more things that aren't necessarily approved. So then you got to be sure that it's what you want, right? Kelly wants to know more about me. I teach high school math and computer science. I have red hair. I love animals. I do a lot of work with animal rescue. I've been teaching for 15 years. What else do you need? Okay. Thank you. I'm not good at self-promotion, I guess. Okay. So on teacher.desmos.com, let's see what we can find. I know this is hard, right? You're looking at the screen I'm sharing and at the same time, your own screen. Very slow Wi-Fi. Oh, come on, you can do it. There we go. On the left side, you can see, some categories of things, right? You could go up to search and search for what you want. And it's that easy. So suppose I'm teaching, trig functions. There's lots of great trig things, some of which I've made at the bottom. And how do you save it or something? If you click the little plus sign, yours probably says bookmarks. You can also make a new collection. So it could be like Algebra 1, Geometry, Trig, whatever. And that way, then you'll have a bookmark of it. So I'd encourage you, find something that maybe you can look at later. And maybe I don't know if I like it yet. So if I click on it, what I do is click Student Preview. And then that allows me to see what will the student see? What do they have to do? And I can go next. Ooh, nice. They're figuring out the range, amplitude, things like this. Okay, yeah, I'm sold. I like it. Note at the bottom, it has maybe pedagogical considerations, maybe sample responses of what students could enter. So once I like it, I could click the plus and add it, right? We talked about student preview. How do I actually make one of these, right? By that, how do I use one? How do I give this to students? And that's where a create class code comes in. So if you do that, it makes a clone of it. And that's the code that students need. Or if you click the little 3 dots, see how you can make a student link. For example, I can paste this into the chat, wherever that went. Here it is. Oh, you don't see my Desmos screen. Let me try again. Oh, I see why. Got it. Sorry about that. Here we are. So here's teacher.desmos, right? I search trig. It showed you could click on it to see what's going on. If you click student preview, you can see what the student will see. And you can navigate through it just to get a sense of what the lesson is. And then once you like it, click the little plus, and that'll save this for you, either in your bookmarks, or you can make a new folder. Okay. And then what I did was I created a class code. And this is what you need to share with students. Say you teach a block 1, a block 3, and a block 12. You could make 3 different class codes. Unfortunately, it's just random, right? So you'd have to figure out which one's which. So maybe you don't want to make them all at once. Maybe you want to make it like, 5 minutes before or something. And you can either give students that code, or what I like to do is just click the little 3 drop-down thing, and there's a direct link to the activity. So I could copy and paste that or put it in Google Classroom or whatever. No, you don't have to enter students. Think about when you logged in, right? When you logged into the marble slide activity, you just sign in, hopefully with their actual name. So this is unlike other, all of them involve code sharing to some capacity, but this isn't like you import a roster or something, which is nice. Another nice thing, I can see what I did like 2 years ago, right? I can go back to the dashboard of the activity that I did last year. So once you create a class code, if I click View Dashboard, this is the teacher end that I was showing you. Remember, I called it like a class roster. So once students sign into this activity, that's what I was showing you before when we were doing marble slides. That's where I could pause or do snapshots, those sorts of things. Okay, so what to take away from this? Teacher.desmos.com is where you go as the teacher to find activities that exist. You can either search by name or maybe just, click a category. And you can click on the name of the thing to see what it looks like. If you do student preview, that will allow you just to have a cursory look at what students will see. If you like it, add it to either your bookmarks or a folder you make. And then if you go to collections, you'll see bookmarks, etc. Right, here's all the titles I've made. So collections is like your bookmarks of what you saved. And then finally, if you click Create Class Code, that's what makes it live for your students. And how do you share that with students? You either give them the code, or better, you just do student link, and that link takes you directly there. Okay, so let's see what's going on in the chat. Can you show where to turn on the Desmos Lab? Yes. So once you've signed in, I would suggest, remember that was in the upper right corner. If you go to Desmos Labs, be sure all 3 of these are checked. These are still sort of like beta features, and you probably want the ability to use them, but you have to do that yourself. So I went up to the upper right corner, not settings, but labs, and I would have all those checked. Is there a benefit to students creating their own accounts? Students don't need to make an account. They just need to be able to sign in to the link that you share with them, right? Now, if they just type Bob, right? If they just type their name, they will not be able to revisit where they left off. Their progress isn't like saved for the future for them. So if they use Google to sign in, that's a lot better because they can go back and see what they had done in the activity. Doesn't matter on your end. You'll be able to see for your lifetime what they did. But when they log in, I ask that they use their Google account. Yeah, another nice thing is, so, okay, we have 10 minutes and we can go a bit longer if you want. Another nice thing that Desmos has made is maybe I find an activity like this, writing the equation of a line. And maybe I really like just this slide. Well, guess what I can do? I can do Command C or Control C, whatever device you're using, and it copied that exact slide. And now I can put it in an activity I'm making. So you don't have to just literally use what's there. You can customize things. So what was that again? If I like an activity, but just a part of it, I can go to one particular screen, copy. Okay, well now, like, where do I paste it, right? So the last part, hopefully you had a chance to at least see teacher.desmos. I know you'll need some time to like look through to see what's there, but hopefully find something purposeful to you. So we're going to finally close with just getting you, really thin layer of explanation of how you make your own activity. But just some things to notice, right? Be sure you're signed into Google so you can bookmark things. When you're looking for activities, click that student preview so you can see what's going on. The teacher guide at the bottom just gives you some notes or sample responses. And remember, we also showed you how to create a class code. It's that code that then makes it active to students. Otherwise, it's just like the theoretical lesson. Lori, what do you want me to do again? Making the class code? Let me know in the chat. Oh, how I copy and paste. Okay. So yeah, I'll show you that again. So the last piece of this is how do you make your own activities? Well, nicely, it's at the same place, teacher.desmos.com. If you're making your own activities, then custom is where you want to go. And I'll show you where that is. Again, I'll share the link to these slides for you. I put a link, if you're new to this, that hopefully helps you with a little tutorial as to how to make these. If you're comfortable with making PowerPoint or Keynote or whatever, this is almost the same, okay? So let me go back to teacher.desmos.com. Where did I say to go over here if you want to make your own? Anyone in the chat want to remind us? Custom, good. Remember, collections is where you go if you bookmark stuff by clicking the plus. Okay, so let's go to custom. And I have tons of stuff I've made. How many activities? 150. Okay, that's an addiction. How do I make a new one? I wish it were like 50-point font, but new activity is what I'm going to click. I have to give it a name, so I'll call it virtual MTC demo. If you plan to share this with like a co-teacher or something, I would have this selected. If you do private, then no other teacher can see this. But if you plan to share it with someone else, have it be the first option. You're welcome to put a description, fine. Okay, so this is what Activity Builder looks like. Can you change what later, Bobby? Oh, how it's shared? Yeah, you can definitely change that, the title, all those things you can change later. Okay, so they recently changed this, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. But all your goodies are on the left side. Remember when I copied something? I can just hit paste right now. Boom, there's the thing that I borrowed. Okay, so if you have an activity you like and you copy from it, pasting here is where you want the destination to be. Is that cool, Lori? Okay, well, I don't really know the purpose of this slide, so I'm going to delete it. Okay, so say I want to do something like a multiple choice question. Guess what? Multiple choice. I type a question up here as a title. Which of the following is a linear function? And then I can, with my little nice math type here, see that little green button? I can type y equals 2x. I can type y equals x squared. I can type y equals 2 over x. And I can type y equals, I don't know, 2x to the negative third or something. And I can select what the right option is. So I can see on my roster view a check mark if they got it right. And then what's really nice is I can have this option where once they answer, do they have to explain an answer or not? So if I uncheck that, then it'll just be, right or wrong. So you can make a assessments here as well, right? Can you paste? If you paste, is it still in Desmos or Google? You can only paste a Desmos slide into Desmos, right? Okay, let's make a few more slides and then we'll wrap up. So how do I add a slide? I've got to click plus, right? Hopefully it's intuitive. How about we add a graph? I'll click edit graph and type y equals sine of x or something. And I'll hit done. Do you see how there's all these other buttons that are still there? I can have multiple elements on the same screen. So how about I add a note and say, consider the graph shown. Then maybe I say, what is its equation? Wait, I can still click on stuff. So maybe I click math input. And now I have a nice little ensemble here of a graph, a prompt, and then where they type the function. Okay, I want to see this. So I can click preview, and that's what students will see once I make this finished. Now, of course, they could type anything, right? And there's no like, hooray, you did it, or right or wrong. So if you make it open-ended response like that, it's not like going to grade it if it's right or wrong. So of course, with the computational layer, you can make it do lots of cool things, but right now this is pretty simplistic. So just to wrap up, what other stuff can you do? You can add instructions. You can have them, like, how was your weekend? And then they just type a sentence. They can input math like I just showed. You can have a multiple choice where you choose the right answer with a follow-up of explain if you want. Checkboxes mean more than one right answer, like select all that apply. Ordered list is cool. Like you could say something like this. Oops, I don't want it there. I want it on a new one. So I could say like, put the following in order, sort the following from lowest to highest or something. And then I could put like 2/3, 3, 15/7, negative 1/3 or something. Okay. And then their job is to move these around, and here's what they'd see. So they just like grab it and move it. What I probably use the most is card sort. Let me show you that. If I click card sort, say I want students to match like trig identities or something. So if I click math, if you don't teach trig, don't let this discourage you. Say I do like sine squared of x plus cosine squared of x, and I want them to match that with 1. And then I want them to know that tangent of x is sine over cosine, etc. Okay. And then if I click answer key, I can say what goes with what. And there's my card sort. So students will see this, and they need to drag pairs together. And see here, it tells me that they'll get a check because I made the answer key for them, which they don't get to see, of course, right? And there's so many other cool things. Like you can make your own marble slides. You can have buttons. You could put the geometry that we talked about. You could put pictures or video. If you click media, just drag in what you want. Video, though, be careful. It's got like only like 100 megabytes limit. And even like a 3 or 4 minute video might be over. So what I would suggest, what I did with remote teaching a lot, is I made a note and just said, please go to this link. And then I just pasted in like a YouTube link, and students can click on that link and it takes them there. I don't know if this has been recorded. I don't think it has. Okay, I'm just going to go back to the chat, see what other things are being talked about here. If you check ask for explanation, then where it says students will see classmate responses. Yeah, thank you for asking that. So let's go back to that. If I do this, then, well, let me show you. I can do preview, right? Which of the following is linear? A student selects an answer. And then it has that as a follow-up. If I also show students their classmate responses, it is the only one that is linear. I don't know. You see here where it says 3 other students' work will show up. So once other students in the class have answered, and this student has written an answer, will it populate 3 random student responses, which is really nice, right? They can see how their response relates to what someone else said. But it's totally random. You can't like pick who sees what. Yeah, and media is really nice if you want a picture, or if you want to put video, but notice it says 100 megs as your limit. So to work around that, you could just paste in a link to like a YouTube video or something. And it's taken me over a year to feel like really comfortable making these. And I haven't even scratched the surface with all the super cool stuff with Computational Layer. So make a 2-slide lesson, right? See what you can do with some options of notes or multiple choice or graphs. And just with the slider stuff that we did, right? You could add a graph that has sliders like y equals sine of kx. And then students in Desmos will be able to, oh, right. I forgot. Yeah, I think this is a new change. Did you see that was like a static picture? Right? I need to look back and see what the changes they've made. I want the sliders to still be able to be there. So I'll have to figure that out. That's a recent change. Sorry about that. With card match, can you put graphs in one and formulas in the other? Absolutely. That's a great question. So see how I could make a graph? How about y equals x? And then I can do a card that's not a graph, right? And then my answer key would put those two together. I've had music teachers use this, and they literally put like music notation as a picture. You don't have to teach math to use this. Oh, nice. Kelly mentioned this. Let me show you this as well. There's so many cool things. And then we really should wrap up soon. I always like to have check-in slides for students. Tell me something you're grateful for, or, complete this picture. Like we have art contests where I give them just a circle and they have to draw something. See starter screens for checking in. So like this robot's really cute. Students would drag, are you feeling happy or sad? I want this. How do I steal it? Copy. Where do I put it? I need an activity. And I paste it in, right? Paste. So there's my robot, and I can put it at the very beginning. Note you can drag slides around, right? You're not stuck in that order. How often do you use this with a given student? I almost use Desmos, especially when we were teaching online, every day. And I attended a session yesterday that was great, just about online teaching. You sort of want online teaching to reflect what you did before, right? Now, of course, if we start a brand new school year online, that's different. Let me extend this event, but we should end soon. Oh, I hope I didn't extend it for 30 minutes 3 times. I'm a comedian. Okay. So I used this a lot while we were together. So it seemed natural to continue that, right? Students were used to this tool. I would not use this and then Kahoot, which is new, and Quizlet. And like, you don't want to throw lots of new tools at students. So this tool has a lot, and I would try to use it as much, it's like an orange. You want to squeeze out as much juice. You shouldn't get another fruit. Has anyone aligned activities with curriculum? I think they're working on that, but I would just search by like topic. What other questions? Do students' names show up in the 3 responses? I think they do. So you'd want to anonymize that. Remember how I showed you could click anonymize? Maybe I didn't show you that, but once you launch an activity, it's pretty obvious where you click anonymize. Okay, so that's a lot of information. Here again is where you can find what we talked about. I'll put it in the chat as well. The one thing I don't like about the chat is once enough people type, it's gone, right? So I appreciate your time. I'll put my email here as well. Shoot me an email if you need some help. Sloan, also somewhere in the chat, if you want to scroll way up, I'm doing a session. Again, I don't know how it's going to be different yet, but it'll definitely be more work time. I think that's tomorrow at 4 Eastern. So I'll stick around if you've got more questions, but thanks for your time, and Desmos rocks.